the behemoth, the second largest of all land animals, a mountain of flesh surpassed only by the elephant. Wallowing in the mud, he's deceptively lazy, but his famous yawn isn't just boredom. He's changeable, and in his own element, he's quick and dangerous. If he's in the wrong mood when anything or anyone intrudes on his territory, it might signal a battle of awesome fury. What are these creatures, these giant amphibians who have had to adapt to drastic changes in the African landscape? For some reason, the ungainly hippopotamus has become a figure of fun. He's ideal for comic valentines and cartoons, prancing to Tchaikovsky's music with awkward grace and ballerina costumes. Well, who knows how we look to them? Actually, the hippo is a remarkable creature with a remarkable history, and nobody who shared his territory has ever done much laughing at him. This is Uganda, where the Murchison Falls drop 150 feet to give birth to the Victoria Nile River. It is the last remaining stronghold of the hippopotamus. The Greeks called the hippo the river horse, but he was unearthed long before their civilization, long before any civilization. Experts estimate that the hippopotamus has been alive since the Tertiary Age, about 70 million years. The hippo is an amphibian, equally at home on land or in water. The hippo likes company. He lives in groups of from 5 to 15. Because of his sensitive skin, most of the daylight hours are spent in water. He even secretes a red fluid as a kind of natural suntan lotion. This has led to a myth that the hippo sometimes sweats blood. His domain has shrunk. He once roamed throughout Africa, Europe, and Asia, and fossil remains have even been found in England. He has changed little through the course of time. On the western side of the African continent, in the basin of the Congo River, lives the other member of the hippo family, the pygmy hippopotamus. He averages 31 inches at the shoulder, weighs 600 pounds. He is 1/5 the size of his eastern brother. The pygmy hippo is not really a miniature of the larger hippo. He has a chunky body and lives in swampy areas, streams, or creeks that run through dense forests. He doesn't care for company. A more territorial animal than his cousin, he lives alone or in pairs. Being nocturnal, he wanders at night through the underbrush along set paths. After a time, these paths become tunnel-like. Grasses, tender shoots, and various vegetables are his normal diet. Compared to his larger relative, he's far less aquatic, but he's still a good swimmer and is even more renowned for his aggressiveness. The pygmy hippo is considered a delicacy by the Congolese, and despite rigid governmental protection, this species has declined drastically, and today is found almost exclusively in zoos. The crocodile is the only real predator that dares attack the hippo, kiboko, as he's called by the Africans. But these attacks are rare, and a crocodile would have to be very hungry to risk a fight with a mother hippo in order to feed on a baby hippo. Kiboko is tough and aggressive. Even a killing machine as efficient as a crocodile has little chance against those tusk-like teeth of an enraged hippo, on land or underwater. Kiboko is the largest member of the pig family. He might weigh 3 tons. He averages about 5 feet at the shoulders. Hippos live in matriarchal groups in which the females are dominant. Adult males are driven away. They form their own groups or live alone. Females with young stay together as protection against the males, which kill the calves. When an aggressive male approaches, the matriarchs band together to drive him off. The hippo is truly amphibious. He has special muscles that act as valves, closing his ears and nostrils when he submerges. His yawn is really a threat posture. He displays his pointed eye teeth and giant incisors as warnings. Like his enemy, the crocodile, Kiboko can submerge himself entirely while keeping his ears, eyes, and nostrils above water level. Thus, he is able to detect danger without exposure. There are some differences of opinion among experts about how long the hippo can remain submerged. Estimates vary from 5 to 10 minutes. But whatever the time, Kiboko's huge body assumes an amazing grace underwater. In many areas, hippos have consumed all the growing things on the riverbanks. Since they don't eat underwater plants, they must often wander 25 miles or more during a night for their daily 300 pounds of greenstuffs. Hippo groups are usually fairly tranquil among themselves. This has led many casual observers to believe the animal is docile. During mating season, an invasion of territories by other hippos can cause the groups to explode in relentless fury. That's when Kiboko unleashes his tremendous power. One of Kiboko's constitutional problems is regulating his body temperature. When he's too warm, he submerges himself. When he's too cold, he basks in the sun. He has special sweat glands which continually bathe his 2-inch thick fatty skin. But still, he cannot stay out of the water for very long periods during the day. Baby hippos are born both on the land and in the water after a 6-month gestation period. At birth, the calf weighs about 100 pounds, and it can swim as soon as it's born. The mother suckles her calf on land or in the water for several months. At first, mother and calf stay away from the main herd, although they will join with their older offspring. Mother and calf stay close together. They rarely use the tracks of the main herd until the baby is about 2 months old. Joining the main herd before 2 months of age exposes the calf to unnecessary danger of being killed by aggressive males, or of being attacked by crocodiles. The northern and southern branches of the Nile River, the hippopotamus, and the Egyptians are all tied together in history, in myth, and in worship. Tauret the Great was the popular Egyptian goddess of childbirth and symbolized maternity and suckling. She is represented as a female hippopotamus with pendant breasts, standing upright on her back legs and holding a hieroglyphic sign of protection, Sa, a braid of rolled papyrus. She was especially worshipped in Thebes, where she enjoyed great popularity among people of the middle class, who often gave her name to their children and decorated their houses with her images. Today, the shores of the southern Nile are barren. Kiboko uses the dry ground to warm himself and to stake out his territories. Long ago, these same shores flourished with papyrus, a reed that had many uses for the Egyptians and great religious symbolism. It was a sign of peace, of fertility. It was used for the making of paper and for the building of ships. Kiboko lived here then, as now. During the period of 1500 BC, huge boats made of papyrus sailed down the Nile to temples of Amun-Ra, Karnak, Luxor, and Heliopolis. During her reign, Queen Hatshepsut of Egypt had 2 giant obelisks made for herself and for her husband. The 2 ships that transported them were the largest ever made up to that time. They were constructed entirely of papyrus reeds. The ships were 280 feet long and weighed 800 tons each. Today, the great temple cities are ruins. The names of the kings and queens are forgotten. The empire that was to last forever crumbled. But the river lives, and Kiboko lives, as he lived then. In some places, the reeds again grow down to the water's edge. Still, Kiboko's home. Many large animals and birds have symbiotic relationships in which one partner helps the other. The bird picks ticks and other parasites from the hippo's hide and feeds on the insects stirred up by his movements. The bird also serves as a warning system by signaling when danger is near. Kiboko's food is primarily grass and lush plants. Nature has adapted his 13-foot-long stomach to his vegetarian diet. It is divided into 3 chambers, like the other cud-chewing animals. His intestine is 200 feet long. It allows thorough digestion and absorption of the plant material. If necessary, the hippo will cross miles of dry bushland to reach pools or rivers where food is available. Some hippos have been known to travel over 2,000 miles in search of food. The hippo, the Cape buffalo, and the crocodile are fearsome and formidable, each in his own right. Kiboko is 3 tons of potential explosiveness, about the size of a small tank. The Cape buffalo is one of the most unpredictable and dangerous game animals in the world. In full charge, he can take a high-powered rifle bullet between his horns and not slow down by a millimeter. The crocodile is one of the most efficient machines of destruction that nature has ever devised. And yet, here on a lonely river bank, are these 3 great creations peacefully sharing the same territory. Kiboko at ease, gives little indication of his capabilities. Underwater, he's graceful, ballet-like. On land, he is capable of running up to 20 miles an hour. His hide is thick, water-resistant, and can be finished to a beautiful patina. Since time immemorial, the whips, or sjamboks, valued so highly in South Africa, have been made from hippo hide. And recently, hippo hide wallets, purses, and belts have begun to appear in the fashion centers of the world. Systemic protection of kiboko by trained rangers has raised the hippo population to record numbers in some areas. He is ranging farther and farther from riverbanks in routine feeding. The near extinction of his few natural predators has increased his range even more. The hippo is undergoing a population explosion. 15,000 hippos in Uganda's Queen Elizabeth Park are eating themselves out of existence. At least 2,000 a year must be cropped out if the herd is to be preserved. 2,000 hippos might yield 2 million pounds of edible meat. The Uganda Project alone can provide 78 pounds of hippo meat yearly to 40,000 protein-hungry Africans. Kiboko considers the river his own domain and does not tolerate intruders easily. Historically, he's been a navigational hazard. When the great hippo herds gather, they form an almost impassable barrier. During mating season, when Kiboko's ire is already aroused, he can become a real menace to riverboat travelers. He'll attack a boat as he would any intruder. Sometimes nature's great ecological scheme can be seen in microcosm on a chunk of Nile riverbank. The hippo grazes on grass, like the buffalo. They both deposit piles of dung in which beetles and other insects grow. The white egrets feed and cluster. They, in turn, warn the hippo and buffalo of approaching danger. The process continues. Hippo and buffalo trample thick vegetation on the riverbanks. This is replaced by grass. The grass provides grazing grounds for themselves and for other animals. Concurrently, it gives buffaloes and hippos easy access to the water. The ecosystem even includes the crocodile. The fish on which the crocodile feeds eat the feces which Kiboko deposits underwater. Thus, they grow much larger than normal. The crocodile, the water buffalo, and the hippopotamus, working together, help keep waterways clear by breaking up blocking masses of waterweed. A poet said, "No big or small living thing escapes nature's hand. It touches the ocean's depth and the highest crags of mountain land. It weaves a tapestry of life that spreads beneath broiling skies and rolling thunder. But each thread is knotted to another, and to sever one will rent the warp and woof asunder." A river can be a place of sudden death, but it's also a place of small, living vignettes, if one is lucky enough to stumble upon them. This orphan hippo apparently was raised by a mother donkey. He has reached the age of independence. She is reluctant to let him go and fearful for his safety, as mothers always seem to be. The hippo finds an instinctive ease and comfort in the water. To the mother, the water is alien, the mud is an enemy. Separation time for this foster mother and baby is almost at hand. But just now, the bond forged during the growing up years is still strong. This is Kiboko, God to the Egyptians, river horse to the Greeks, a peaceful browser, an awesome fighter, a tender mother. A member of a race that has walked the earth for 70 million years. During its span, kings and emperors and conquerors were born, died, and became handsful of dust. Still, Kiboko survives. Sea lions and seals are whimsical creatures. They draw gaping crowds at zoos anywhere in the world. They're spectacular circus clowns, and so they're the lucky ones. As for the rest, men have been killing them for years, indiscriminately, for their fur, for their blubber, for their ivory. And all this time, nations have made treaties to preserve these wonderful creatures. But like so many other international treaties, they're ignored, evaded, broken. Meanwhile, we study these intriguing creatures to better understand them and their way of life, those that are left. Perhaps we should spend more time studying ourselves. He's been around this planet for 20 million years or more. You'll find him on the southern shores of Australia and New Zealand, on the lower coast of South America, and in the northern hemisphere, from the islands of Japan, across the Bering Sea to Alaska, Canada, the California coast, and down past the tip of Mexico, Baja California. He's a peaceful wanderer most of the year. But during the warm months, when he returns to his breeding ground, he becomes a fierce defender of his place on Earth. A social, outgoing, friendly creature with a strong sense of dignity and independence is the sea lion. Curiously, he carries stones in his stomach, perhaps to aid digestion, perhaps to add ballast. And thus he moves through this world somewhat like a diamond smuggler, concealing his booty in the hidden recesses of his body. He's the stuff of which myths and legends are made. Tales from the past have him taking on the human form at will, singing in marvelous cadence and rhythm, saving the lives of seamen adrift and helpless in the high seas, warning ship's captains of impending disaster. Man has hunted him, protected him, trained him to entertain us, and now even asks him to perform remarkable feats of salvage to save precious information and money. Stellar sea lions, found off America's west coast, are among the largest of the sea lion family. They're almost twice as large as their California cousins. The bulls reach 11 feet in length and weigh up to a ton. They arrive in May at their chosen location. Seizing control of their territory is the first order of business. The most powerful bull makes his headquarters in the best site. And when the females come ashore, usually 2 or 3 weeks later, this strongest of the strong will end up with the largest harem. To signal that a territory is occupied, the bull sits with his head held high. Perhaps he's looking to the stars or the heavens for assurance of his greatness. Territories are often invaded by other bulls or by younger males called bachelors. Even though blood is drawn, there seldom seems to be permanent damage caused by the fight. Thick rolls of blubber effectively keep the necks protected. However, as in many of man's daily encounters, pride and reputation are sorely bruised. Courting takes up a large portion of each day's business. Although a cow may have given birth to her pup only hours ago, she'll take every opportunity she can to let her lord and master know of her romantic inclinations. Cows seek out an empty place on the rocks to give birth. It all seems to happen rather rapidly. The little pup literally pops into the world. Mother's first task is to remove the membrane. Newborn pups can be as much as 3.5 feet long and weigh up to 40 pounds. Almost all pups are born in June, thanks to a gestation period of about 10 months and a 2-month period of delayed implantation, during which the fertilized egg lies in suspended animation inside the mother-to-be. The cow is an attentive mother, if not a gentle one. She pulls the pup free of the membrane by picking him up in her teeth and drawing him forward, close to her head. What looks like a distinct lack of tender, loving care actually helps to stimulate the first life stirrings in the brand new pup. The baby coughs up mucus from his lungs and begins proper breathing. Like the doctor's spank on the rear, the mother's pushing and prodding gives vital impetus to a new life starting. Gulls help to keep the island clean. The pup, after some searching, locates his mother's nipples, from which he draws rich milk, which will help him double his weight in 6 weeks. Consider the confused world our hero has just entered. He is a sea lion. Now, the word lion suggests that he's related to the cat family. But he has a dog-like head, and he barks like a dog. Therefore, he's called a pup at birth. And to make matters worse, his father is called a bull, and his mother is known as a cow. Though the bulls will not leave their territory for the 2 months of their stay on the island, the cows must go off to sea to feed. While Mama is gone, the pup enrolls in a sea lion kindergarten to practice some play fighting and test out his limbs and their movements. Learning to be a sea lion in this down-to-earth academy is very serious business, since the odds against survival are so strong. Here's this year's class. The new graduates, the summer recruits. During those early moments of loneliness, when his mother is gone, when he is buffeted by the wind, chilled by the salt sea spray, nudged and stepped on by huge, menacing, out-of-focus forms, the pup's cries are of fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the future. Fortunately, even across the rocks, over the din of 1,000 other howls and the screech of the gulls, mother and child miraculously remember. Young sea lions must learn to swim. Strangely enough, pups do not readily take to the water. The mother sea lion coaxes the pup into the shallows and hovers near, always patient and helpful. In the folk tales of the people who make their living from the sea, it's well known that hidden in the dark brown eyes of sea lions are spirits that call out to certain men. The Irish among us, and a few Scandinavians who have lived long at the edge of the sea, can hear the message best. These sea lions, they say, are really fisherfolk who were caught in an act displeasing to the gods, and were sentenced to live in hairy skins forever after, and to wander at the will of the winds and the tides. Once in a while, such a sea lion will save the life of a drowning sailor, and will then turn into a beautiful maid and become the sailor's wife. But there'll be no offspring from the union, and the old women in the village know the reason why. The maids always have dark brown eyes and are soft of body, and they lie awake in bed when the full moon streams through the window. And their feet are a bit colder than the feet of ordinary women. At least, so goes the legend. Sea lions are not attentive parents for very long. The bull is almost completely occupied with holding his ground. The cows suckle the pups for about 2 months and give less and less attention to them until it's time for the creatures to return to the sea. And what of death among the sea lions? In their natural environment, only sharks and killer whales are real enemies. The pup prepares to swim out to sea. The whales and sharks are waiting. And these two killers manage to take 9 out of 10 cuddly pups that were born on the land as the sea lion families make their bid for freedom through narrow offshore straits. The fit and the lucky survive, perhaps to return a year later, perhaps to take part in an adventure with man. You've probably been to the circus or the aquarium to see the so-called trained seal. He's the fellow who balances balls on his nose, blows into a horn, and climbs a ladder, always at the command of his well-trained trainer. Well, the animal who performs those remarkable tricks is in fact not a seal at all. He's a California sea lion. Recently, the United States Navy developed a far more exciting and provocative act involving our sea lion performer. It's called Quick Find. The idea for the Navy's project with the sea lion took form at the Naval Undersea Research and Development Center in Hawaii. Knowing that the California sea lion can dive to at least 750 feet, the researchers began to explore the possibility of using the animals to assist them in the recovery of small objects from the ocean floor. Within 2 or 3 weeks after capture, a sea lion submits to a harness which permits the trainer to lead him by a leash and later by a long nylon cord to maintain control of the animal during training sessions in the open ocean. The Quick Find recovery system consists of 2 or 3 men, a rubber boat, a reel of nylon line, a pinger receiver, a grabber device, and 1 sea lion. A practice mission enables the Navy trainers to iron out any problems with their flippered helpers. The sea lions will dive on a mock-up of an ASROC missile. The sea lion jumps into the water and then reports that he hears the target's 9 kilocycle pinger by pressing a disc on the inside of the rubber raft. Carrying the grabber device on his nose, he plunges to the bottom to place it on the submerged missile. Completely successful test. The novel recovery system is ready for duty with the Pacific Fleet. A real ASROC missile is fired this time. Shortly after it settles on the ocean floor, the Quick Find team moves to the recovery site. Consider the virtues of this cooperative effort between Sea Lion and man. The Quick Find system is simple, easy to transport, inexpensive to maintain, and versatile beyond all previous hopes. If men were to do the same diving as these Sea Lions, expensive equipment and elaborate support facilities would be required, and even then there'd be considerable danger to human lives. Scuba and hard hat divers are limited in the depth and amount of time they can work. Therefore, sizable teams are required. Submersibles, like two-man submarines, are expensive and difficult to transport. The team is taken to the general area where the ASROC missile rests under 180 feet of water. One trainer operates the boat, another tends to the Sea Lion. A third uses a pinger receiver to guide the boat to a position above the target. The Sea Lion dives and quickly picks up the pinging noise that the sunken missile gives off. He informs his mates that they're in the right spot. The grabber device is fitted over the Sea Lion's nose, and he dives at a speed and to a depth that would put a mere human aquanaut to shame. The Sea Lions use their very sharp hearing to home in on the sunken object, and also their eyes, which, like a cat's, can adapt to low light conditions very quickly. Missions such as this recovery of an ASROC missile are proving to be highly successful for the Navy and for the Sea Lion divers. Everyone is coming out winners. We taxpayers get a dividend too, since there is money saved all around. This act may not draw as many laughs as the balancing ball routine, but it gains the applause of veteran Navy researchers. The humble Sea Lion is a special kind of hero these days in the U.S. Navy, and he's rewarded for his efforts in a way that only a Sea Lion could appreciate. Some 30 million years in the cradle of time, on some African plain, two members of the same primate family broke off from each other and took separate paths of development. One became man, the other ape. That makes the ape not our ancestor, but our relative. In many ways, we and they are kin. And by understanding them, we take a significant step in understanding ourselves. The primate, with a family structure most closely resembling ours, is the smallest of the group, the gibbons. These stunning acrobats move high in the trees in small groups, father, mother, and from 1 to 4 children. The gibbons family won't take kindly to other adults. No one bothers the gibbons because no one can catch them. Their sole annoyance is an occasional bird. Anthropologists have seen the gibbons catch birds in midair without breaking their swing, or swinging unperturbed to the next branch when the branch they've chosen snaps. Natural selection has favored those gibbons with the longest reach. Occasionally, they will descend to the ground and walk upright with their arms held high for balance. Erect, the gibbons are less than 3 feet tall. This old fellow is the orangutan. In Malay, that means old man of the woods. He has no natural enemies. His only enemy is man. If man left him alone, he'd leave man alone. As it is, he's losing the battle and may soon be extinct. Physical contact is very important to the primates, just as it is to humans. Baby orangutans without their mother will sit and hug each other all day. The contact reduces their fears. There seems to be a special relationship among primate siblings. They understand that they are brothers and sisters. The mother-infant relationship is intense and prolonged. Among all of the great apes, only the gibbon's fathers know who their young are. But all males protect all the young when danger arises. Forests are often set afire to trap the older males. Females are killed so that hunters can trap their babies. Young orangutans bring a high price throughout the world. Orangutans are intelligent enough to know that they won't like captivity. One newly captured orangutan, watching workmen screwing the bars of his travel cage, grabbed a wrench and had almost succeeded in unscrewing the bars when he was discovered. Orangutans taken captive often die prematurely. They're highly susceptible to pulmonary infections borne by man. Among gorillas, as among humans, father is master. Children obey. Like human children, gorilla children become disoriented when parents tell them one thing one day and another thing another. Size and strength determines the hierarchy. Males dominate females. Females dominate juveniles. And juveniles dominate infants that have lost their mothers. George Schaller, the authority on gorillas, once saw a juvenile take shelter beneath a tree at the beginning of a downpour. Then a female came under the tree, and the juvenile fled. No sooner had the female settled into the dry spot than a silver-backed male emerged from the undergrowth, sat down beside her, and gently pushed her into the rain. Our notions about gorillas are largely the product of romantic storytellers, Tarzan movies, and the boasts of hunters who wanted to impress others with their bravery. Among a troop of wild gorillas, King Kong would be an outcast. Gorillas seldom swing through the trees. Few branches can support such massive weight. As for ravaging women, gorillas just aren't interested. The gorilla's appearance is hardly reassuring. He weighs 400 to 600 pounds, has a 55-inch chest, a 7 to 8 foot arm span. A 2-year-old gorilla is as strong as a man. gorilla's bellow is paralyzing. But George Schaller has given us an entirely new perception of the gorilla. Schaller spent years in the jungle studying the largest of the primates. He was never attacked. He never saw them fight. Gorillas, he reported, have a placid nature. They aren't easily aroused. They almost never feel ferocious or even angry. For a true appreciation of their character, Schaller recommends that we ignore their intimidating size and shattering roar and look instead into their soft, dark brown eyes. Stoic, reserved, introverted, hesitant, and uneasy. The placid males don't even quarrel over females. Any male may mate with any female who will have him. The gorilla lives like a man of leisure. He rises when the sun is well above the horizon, grunts, stretches, and slowly leaves his nest, made fresh every evening by loosely bending branches of shrubs or trees into a platform. Each gorilla sleeps in his own nest, except for the infants who sleep with their mothers until they're 3. Once everyone is up, the gorilla group then moves unhurriedly through the forest, single file, eating massive amounts of leaves, barks, blossoms, and fruit. At midday, a nap. By dusk, the gorillas are in their new nests, asleep. The games of baby gorillas are strikingly similar to those of human children. They love to play follow the leader, king of the hill. They climb trees and slide down mossy banks. Wrestling is a great favorite. If a baby gorilla gets hurt, he'll kneel like a Muslim at prayer to stop the rough and tumble. Baby gorillas who haven't been taught otherwise will even treat potential enemies as friends. As far as this gorilla is concerned, the German Shepherd is a slightly peculiar but perfectly adequate playmate. In the evening, a female may walk over to a group of cavorting youngsters, stare at them as if to say, "Time's up, come to bed." Without delay, they stop their play and follow their own mothers to their nest. Gorillas remain together for the same reasons humans do, because they know and like each other. The gorilla has little to fear, except man, and he's afraid of the man who comes in anger. It's as though he senses his fate if caught. Few gorillas live a normal lifespan in captivity. The gorilla's primary weapons are his fearsome appearance and ear-splitting roar. Surprised by man in the jungle, he will drop his jaw in astonishment, rise to his full height with arms above his head, emit his terrible roar, and plunge off into the jungle. If he can't run, and he can't frighten his opponent, then and only then will the gorilla fight. He's a terrifying opponent. Of all the great apes, it's the chimpanzee who is closest to man. He can wage war, but he has the good sense not to. Whether threatened or praised, whether alone or with a group, he acts very much as we would act when confronted with the same circumstances. He is highly intelligent, intensely social, eager for attachments, richly expressive. Like their human counterpart, certain animal societies celebrate the arrival of a child. The event is extra special in a chimpanzee society because it occurs so rarely. The mother bears a child only every third, fourth, or fifth year. In a group of 20 chimps, there may be only one birth a year. In a group of 40, 2. The scarcity of births makes all chimps curious, and some of them envious. The mother accordingly keeps her baby from contact with all but brothers and sisters. Unlike gorilla infants, who are literally helpless at birth, the infant chimp can cling to the mother. Later, the mother will encourage the baby to be active. She will stretch its limbs and hold it by the arms to induce it to walk. Still later, she'll urge the chimp to climb a rock or a tree, although she'll probably have to go up and rescue him. Just as walking and climbing have to be taught, so do mating and mothering. And the young learn by watching their elders. To scientists, the implications are clear and impressive. That constant body contact at birth is the most important basic ingredient. Healthy emotional development for humans as well as chimps. One way chimps have of showing regard for one another is in the act known as grooming. Its primary function is to keep the skin free of parasites, but it's also a way of communicating affection. Male chimps will attack subordinates at the slightest provocation. But they'll just as quickly comfort the victim with a touch, a pat, or an embrace. Most of a chimpanzee's life consists of finding enough food to eat. Chimps are especially fond of fruit. They often raid plantations near the forest. Then they return to the forest to eat. They peel the fruit with their mouth and hands. This old chopper's found a special on grapefruit. This tame chimp has learned to use weapons, perhaps from the children who helped raise him. Here they've chained him up to see how he'll react when two older boys pretend to beat up the younger one. He's not very happy with those kids. The leopard is a fake, set up by scientists for experimental purposes. Chimps are the most excitable of all the apes. A tribe of gorillas would have run into the forest the moment it found a leopard in the middle of its favorite feeding place. These chimps reacted otherwise. The chimps show their displeasure by scratching, screaming, letting their hair stand on end. Finally, the troop leader ventures a touch. It triggers a storm of rage. There is little doubt that chimps, and other anthropoids as well, communicate with one another in a variety of ways. Facial expressions, noises, gestures, and touches. Incredible new experiments have raised another possibility, that chimps can be taught to communicate with man using symbols, signs, and even computers. Psychologists in California, Nevada, Oklahoma, and Alabama are teaching language to chimpanzees, and the conversations are running both ways. The chimps can't learn to talk, but they can learn to use hand signals. Different shapes and colors of plastic, or typewriter keys, anything they can manipulate with their hands. The chimps respond to a stimulus. If the response is correct, they receive rewards. They're never punished if they're wrong. At the Yerkes Primate Center of Emory University in Atlanta, Dr. Dwayne Rumbaugh and a team of scientists from Yerkes and the University of Georgia have successfully trained a female chimp to associate symbols on the face of the computer with specific items and ideas. By pressing a correct sequence of buttons, she's able to ask for and obtain a variety of favorite foods. Here, the squares she pushes correspond to "Please, machine, give piece of apple." She can also signal the computer to lower the window cover so she may look outdoors. When Lana wants human companionship, she signals for Timothy B. Gill. The squares read out, "Please, Tim, move into room." And "Please, Tim, tickle Lana," or "Groom or swing Lana." But according to Dr. Rumbaugh, the principal investigator at Yerkes, Lana has now gone far beyond these conditioned responses and is able to give the name or color of an object in response to questions, and has actually composed sentences on the computer in new and novel ways. For example, one day, Lana came to Tim and asked for the name of something she wanted, which was a box of candy. Tim was holding the box, and Lana said, "Can give Lana this can?" Tim said, "Yes," and gave her an empty can she didn't want. Then Lana said, "Can give Lana name of this?" And he said, "Box name of this." Then she said, "Can give Lana this box?" He said, "Yes," and she ripped it open. This clearly shows rational thought processes. According to the magazine Psychology Today, one of humanity's last proud claims to uniqueness, the use of language, is in clear and present danger of dissolving. Companion of ancient kings, its triumphs carved in stone, the cheetah is no common cat. Aloof and solitary, no less regal than its masters were, it's one of the superb hunting animals of the world. Unlike the lion or the leopard, it disdains ambush. Unique among the great cats, the cheetah hunts openly, simply runs its prey to the ground at speeds of more than 60 miles an hour. Yet this lonely hunter, one of the gentlest of the feline species, has rarely been known to attack man. Once trained by man as a hired killer, the cheetah today has become the hunted. Its chief enemy, man himself. The peak of Mount Kenya stands like a cool white roof over the hot grasslands of East Africa. These grasslands are the cheetah's home, almost its last home in the world. In repose, the cheetah echoes the majestic stillness of the mountain. In action, it is the swiftest animal on the surface of the earth. The cheetah is a cat, but everything about it suggests it would be a dog if it could. Its head is smaller than the other cats. Its legs are longer. Its walk is different because it cannot retract its claws. They are instruments not of the kill, but of the chase. They serve it like an athlete's running spikes. Mark especially that long back, because there lies the secret of its speed. Its backbone can curve like a steel bow, a whiplash that springs the cheetah from a standstill to 45 miles an hour in just 2 seconds. other big cats break the necks of their prey, but the cheetah's neck and jaw muscles are too small, so the cheetah kills by strangling. For many centuries, men have known how to tame the cheetah and teach it to serve them in the hunt. Often they blindfolded them to keep them calm, just as they hooded their falcons. Only when they sighted the game did they let the cheetah see. Cheetahs normally live in small groups, but the mother goes off to bear and raise her cubs alone. No other members of the group help to feed or protect them. Their survival is her responsibility and hers alone. When a mother cheetah is rearing her cubs, she's weighed by heavy pressures and torn by hard choices. She must stay close to the cubs to protect them from other hunters, like the lion and the eagle. And yet she must go on hunting her own food or she'll starve, and her milk will dry and they will perish. So they must always stay near the game. If the game moves, the cheetah must follow, and the cubs must follow with her. With her cubs to protect, the moment to chase and kill has to be chosen with care. Cheetahs are often followed by jackals, waiting to eat the remains of the cheetah's kill. The cheetah will not go for these wildebeests. They're too large. Both she and the jackal are looking for a gazelle. Well, this is gazelle country, and they won't have long to wait. The jackals know that they'll not have to travel far. Win or lose, the chase is over in a few hundred yards. Like a strangely camouflaged greyhound, the cheetah waits. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. The cheetah's victim hardly seems to struggle once it's caught. Dr. Livingston, when he was mauled by a lion, said that the surprise and shock was so great that he just felt numb. Perhaps the cheetah's prey, too, is mercifully anesthetized by terror. We may lament the death of the gentle and graceful gazelle, but if the gazelle lives, the cheetah dies, and for each cheetah, there are 1,000 gazelles. The cheetah's jaws may lack the strength to break a neck, but they still have the power to drag a body heavier than her own back to where her cubs are lurking in cover. The cheetah is designed for short bursts rather than sustained endurance, but she must not rest too long while her cubs are unprotected. Though the carcass is heavy and much of her energy is drained by producing milk, she must get it back without delay. The cubs are still too small to eat meat, but they're not too small to sniff and lick and learn with their tongues and nostrils the shape of meals to come. On the African grasslands, there are many places where the animals can find food. The grazing animals in particular have immense pastures to crop where they roam. But water is another matter. They eat where they will, but they drink where they can. Water holes are scarce. Cheetahs can live without water for long periods. They survive on the fluid drawn from the flesh and blood of their prey. But like the other animals, if water is there, they drink it gratefully. There's a sort of fellowship of the water hole. Sometimes even prey and predator refresh themselves at the same time. Not if the predator is hungry, but if it has just eaten, the sharp instinct of the prey seems to understand the smell of safety, just as it knows the scent of danger. The cubs do not drink at the water hole. Unlike the adult animals, young mammals do at least know where the next drink is coming from. Cubs are usually born after the rains, when food and water are more plentiful, both for the cheetahs and their prey, and the living is easier than it will be in the parched months to come. They can play in the sun, but even their playing is a training for survival. In play, they develop the skills they will need when they have to kill for themselves. The cheetah's face is unmistakable. No other big cat has such a small jaw. And there are those black lines running from the corner of the eye to the corner of the mouth, like mascaraed tears. At birth, the cubs weigh only about 8 ounces. In just 18 months, they will grow 200 times that weight. 100 pounds is a lot of nourishment for a mother to supply. Soon the cubs will grow up, and the mother will drive them away. Hunters must space themselves out to survive. But if mother love is brief, it is still very real while it lasts. The cheetah cubs have a lot to learn in their short childhood. They must learn the ways of other animals, they must learn to discriminate between friend and foe, and they must find their place in the hierarchy of the hunting ground, however strange the creatures they share it with. Between 3 and 5 months old, these cubs will be weaned onto the meat their mother catches. By 12 months, if they survive, they'll be hunting for themselves. But only half the cheetahs born in Africa live beyond their first year. Most cheetahs have 2 or 3 cubs in a litter, but just occasionally, a mother will give birth to as many as 5. Only with great difficulty can a cheetah produce enough milk for 5 cubs. So these cubs are being encouraged to eat meat at the earliest possible moment. Cheetahs care for their young much longer than most big cats, and even with 5 cubs, the bond of affection is still as strong as ever. The bond between mother and child is close and lasts for many months, but the bond between male and female is brief and lasts only while the female is in season. She may be joined by a male, or she may go back to her original group to mate. Even in this brief courtship, there is no fidelity among cheetahs. A female may mate with several males without rivalry or jealousy. While she is pregnant, the female may stay with the group. But in 3 months, when the cubs are born, her long, lonely vigil begins again. On this occasion, a pride of lions comes into the cheetah's territory. It is a threat. Lions compete for the same food as cheetahs, and a lion would not hesitate to eat a straying cub. The presence of the lions at such close range rivets the cheetah's attention. While the lions are so close, all the cubs are in danger, and she cannot leave them even to hunt for food. She has to choose between her young and her territory. She chooses to change her territory, keeping the cubs as close to her as she can. It's a dangerous journey, because it has to be a slow one. If she moves faster than a walk, the cubs will be left behind. Moreover, they do not feel the menace of the lions. For them, a walk is a chance to explore. They don't apprehend the hazardous delicacy of the maneuver. The route the cheetah chooses is across open ground, the ground the lions avoid. They like high grass or dappled shade. So she chooses the open plain for a safe retreat. Once she is safely outside the range of the invading lions, she has to start looking for a safe place of refuge for her cubs to rest. Without knowing, or perhaps without caring, she is leading them into a very public place, a game park, though perhaps it's as safe as anywhere else. Neither she nor her family seem the least disturbed by the visitors and their cars. The visitors think it's a piece of good fortune. They don't know the spectacle she's about to stage for them, once she can find a safe resting place for her cubs. Up till now, the cheetah has been thinking only of protection and escape. Now it's time to think of food again. To see a wild cheetah at close quarters is a rare sight at any time. But the visitors are about to see a cheetah make a kill right before their eyes. For the visitors, as it is for us, it's an object lesson in natural selection. We've seen the cheetah pick out the slowest gazelle. The quickest have escaped to breed quicker gazelles instead of slower ones. The law of the survival of the fittest has been enforced. The spectacle is still not complete. The cheetah has one more surprise for her audience. She's made her kill. Now she has to get it away, to drag it into cover. But where is the cover? The prey has to be hidden to protect it from hyenas and vultures, and it's heavy, and the cheetah is tired. It's one of those times when the nearest place is the best place. To the astonishment of the onlookers, she begins to drag the carcass not away from them, but towards them. And so, a wild cheetah on the plains of Africa chooses a visitor's Land Rover for shade and cover while she devours her kill. It's as if the world of the ancient Indian princes had been turned upside down. In bygone centuries, men tamed and trained the cheetah to supply their banquets. Now, perhaps a little absurdly, it seems to be man who has disciplined himself to serve the cheetah, who has supplied a traveling banquet hall, and who watches respectfully at a distance while the cheetah feasts alone. Not one of the watchers has the brashness or the bad manners to drive off while the cheetah is still at dinner. Indeed, none of them wants to. And their nice feelings are rewarded when the rest of the family comes to share the meal. In the world of big cats, the cheetah was man's first ally, indeed his only ally. Today, the terms of that alliance have been drastically changed, but it's hard to look at the cheetah without hoping that the contract may still hold. Man is one of the great successes in the struggle for survival. The cheetah is in danger of being numbered among the failures. And yet, as you look at the cheetah, you might be forgiven for assuming it's the other way around.